gosh. Sorry about this.
You're all
You're
right.
good.
Yeah, it's...
There's a lot of things going on.
Yeah. Let's see if I can edit video.
The least of which is
This
that
is
thing
not
check.
the men's mental health panel. This is... let's see. Association of Mental Health. Oh,
4. Association 4.
4
Association
mental.
4.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
I don't know if that helps.
Mental health professionals. Live with Kathleen Mills, right?
Correct.
Okay. 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 Tell me. Okay. I'm seeing myself. There we go. Okay. So I will post this link in the group chat so that we have it. And then I'll post it on Twitter. Studio chat. I think y'all are in studio chat.
Mm-hmm. I think I am. There we
it is.
go.
Do you want to send that to Dawn?
Doing it right now.
Okay.
Check her email.
I will. Let me know when you send it.
Okay, the Twitterverse is now updated on that. Okay. I feel like there's so many things that you have to worry about with technology. It's always something.
Yes.
It's not one thing,
It's 4.
It's true, yeah. How are y'all doing today?
We are just wonderful given the circumstances.
Given the circumstances,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm running around all frazzled. My church had a kind of prayer vigil this morning, kind of with there's multiple violent events in the last 2 days or so.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of hurt going on.
Yeah. Hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah. I guess we can get started. So this is Reality Therapy, and we are with the Association of Mental Health Professionals. Can y'all tell me just a little bit about yourselves, your background, how you came about getting into this kind of stuff?
We can do that. That's Kathleen Mills right there, licensed professional counselor supervisor, CEAP, CIMHP, and recent VAT practitioner certificate award winner. So she stays busy. Yeah.
Vibroacoustical therapy.
That's the
I'm
one.
a I'll give you a link, sir, but it basically is a frequency-based venue
treatment
protocol that is designed to help relax the nervous system by way of frequency.
Is it
in
auditory?
A sound lounge? Pardon?
Is it auditory, like through your ears?
No, that's vibroacoustical music, but there's vibroacoustical therapy, which is the pure frequency, which is delivered by 4 transducers in the sound lounge. And it's specific frequencies anywhere from 30 hertz to 120 hertz, depending on what
the need is.
And it's usually anywhere from like 22 minutes to 30 minutes in total. And it is designed to help the body heal itself.
My watered down version of that is if you can make the body feel better, the brain's going to think more clearly and therapy goes better.
I agree with that.
So there you
Yeah.
go. Works with Jack Daniels too, but that's a whole nother
No,
recording.
that's a symptom reduction
Don't.
there. Okay,
I
dude,
like that
stop.
explanation.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, it's really been quite interesting with my clients, and I'm really going to be going into my 6 pillars, which includes the vibroacoustical therapy, frequency work, in addition to other things,
Food, water, sleep, exercise.
electromagnetic frequency radiation that we're experiencing in our day and time, and
You clean all that stuff up, and then you've got a mind that can think.
yeah, it's very, very. It's
Holistic.
been really fun.
Very holistic. That's right.
It's a
That's
holistic
right.
approach
So
for mental health.
to finish your question, that's her, and she's been doing this how long? 37
Yeah,
years?
no, 34.
34. Sorry.
I'm old, but I'm not that
What's
old yet.
3 years between friends? So 34 years. And prior to that, you did what?
I was a band director. I was a musician, band director for 10 years, and gave up that and went into this. And
We met 10 years ago. I
met-
worked at a printing
Yeah.
facility, and she was a customer there, and we met, and I refused to go away now, and things just work out well.
right. Yeah, there was, in my mind, Ryan, there was a need for professionals in my community at the time, 10 years ago, to really wake up in terms of understanding their rule book. And it was quite clear to me at that time that nobody read their rules. They didn't care about the rules. They just wanted to talk to people. And when you do that, you're negligent and you get in trouble and you have no idea why. And then horrible things happen to you. And then here we are. So that was the initial
Impetus for
impetus for what is now called practicementors.us, where we actually do only 6 parts of CE training.
6 workshops.
Six
right.
workshops that are solely devoted pretty much to ethics and professional responsibility and business protocol that really dovetails into having a best practice, ethical practice with compliance. So that kind of went for a while. And then
About 3 years ago.
about 3 years ago, well, at the beginning of 2020, COVID set in, and also we have a new mothership called Texas Behavioral Health Executive Council, who was charged to clean up the absolute disaster, negligent, and I will be very bold, mess by all 4 boards that were allowed to occur under dishes. And then COVID set in, and then it was like, okay. And both of us felt compelled to render public comments to various boards every time they met. And then we really got to understand the council and the relationship to the 4 boards. But then we also were really, I'm an LPC, but then there's a lot of LMFTs that are in our association too. So it was really eye-opening to get to know the boards. And then it was very eye-opening to see the role of BHEC. And their role, BHEC, was designed to clean up the mess, mandate all 4 boards to comport with all the state statutes in the state of Texas. And I will tell you, BHEC has done a great job of doing that. Now, with that being said, what it's caused in my mind is we have seen the division in our profession even more. They don't like the actual state statutes, and they can't understand for the life of them why the rule book has to change to comport with the state statutes. So my original opinion about our counselors are not being trained in any of this in grad school, and they still aren't. And I am taking up that torch to just stay steadfast in paying attention to my state board, BHEC, and my professional due diligence to help counselors get familiar
With their
and
rule
comfortable with the rule book and what they have to do so they can stay out of trouble, right?
So before we kind of go into your more recent mission, I want to take a step back for a minute and talk about what year did you get licensed?
Yes. I got, oh man, Ryan. I got licensed as a LPC intern at the time because there wasn't associates back in the day in 1989, and I got my LPC Real Girl license in 1992. And so that was back in the day where,
When you were in sixth grade.
yes, where, our profession at that time was fairly palatable and very clinical and very professional in my head. Okay.
It was.
I think it was more clinically sound during that time because I went to grad school. There's little sprinklings here and there, but not to what is happening now. From 70, I can't even remember. But anyway, so I was working at the time. I was a band director and I was going to school at night and during the summers. So that's how I got my, my coursework out of the way. But definitely felt that this was very professional, very organized, extraordinarily clinical, and
The profession.
the profession and the teaching that went along with it.
So that's so bizarre to me because like professional and it's preparing me well. Those are not words that I would use to describe my own grad program. I think my own grad program is kind of a mixture of left-wing indoctrination and arts and crafts. It's not it's not very rigorous and it's certainly not very balanced. So you have this what you describe as a professional education that's preparing you well for this career you're going into.
Yes.
At what point did you kind of stop and say something is going on with our profession, something's a little off here?
Well, I went through the complaint process.
That's the part she left out.
Yeah, that's the part I left out on purpose.
The impetus for practice mentors was a 4 to 5 year time frame right before we started practice mentors, right before we met and started practice mentors, where one of her colleagues, a business partner, filed 7 complaints against her, frivolous, all of them.
No, it went like this. My shareholder was doing having a dual relationship with a current client who just happened to be a licensed clinical social worker, and went into business and wanted to sell her shares of the corporation to her current client, who was a licensed clinical social worker. Oh my gosh! So once I found wind of that, I had to render my one and only complaint. What it ended up turning into was
A big retaliation
a big
fest.
retaliation fest, which included a civil lawsuit, 7 frivolous complaints metered out strategically, an assault charge, and assault criminal trial, and all that. So I had to have 4 attorneys at the time doing different things while I defended on my own every single complaint that was rendered against me, including the complaint that I had to file against a licensee. Back in the dishes day, we had rogue boards who did whatever they wanted. In this day and time, the penalty matrix is here for a reason. And it was part of that was to clean up the mess that each of those 4 boards had. So the answer to my question, Ryan, is that's when I started getting wind of like, what's happening? This is what is happening here.
At that point, was it predominantly kind of I don't know what you call it, like cronyism or politicking or like just
Good
kind
old-
of general corruption, or were you starting to see like a politicization of the field as well?
Well, that was this. I was there. I was watching. That was a recognition of a good old boy system. The whole system was just broken. When the ideological politicization showed up was about 4 or 5 years ago. When the whole COVID thing came down, and then we started to clue in and pay attention to what was going on and realized it's not just cronyism, smoky backroom stuff going on, but there was an ideology behind it. And we started seeing the bigger picture for there. And
Yeah, I'm
ahead.
sorry. So during that complaint process and me coming out of it, I was never the same, and you shouldn't be. But what I did start seeing, and this is why I got my my supervisor badge of honor or whatever it's called, the hit piece now that, supervisors are exploiting associates. I learned a lot about my first couple associates and what they were telling me in our supervision sessions about what they were being taught in grad school. So Ryan, to answer your question, I think I started getting wind of it really on the graduate level through my associates when I got my supervisor, license, I guess, certification to help mentor graduates, interns at the time, to get their 3,000 hours. And I was appalled. I was absolutely appalled. And there were situations where my interns at the time would come in, and I'd have to literally, Ryan, have to peel them off the ceiling because of these Facebook posts that were going on in these group chats. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I learned a lot. And so then it just became very crystal clear. Something is happening and it's not going well.
At that point, it became obvious that academia has a big problem, that the boards were very well represented through academia or by academics, that the associations, professional associations, the legacy associations, were also very much on board with that way of thinking, let's put it that way, and that we weren't going to be able to change their minds about anything, not in this lifetime. And so that was, and I'm jumping ahead, but that was our impetus for starting our own group,
which
AMP.
is the Association for Mental Health Counselors. We started finding people who didn't feel represented, or they were just out in the wilderness. And so it was like, okay, it's go time.
We've got a whole group of people who thought they were the only one.
Yes.
I'm one of those.
Yes. And so it's been very healing, but it's been very disturbing at the same time, Ryan, I will say.
So there's a couple things I want to jump into. One, hornet's nest of therapist Facebook groups. But first I want to get into like academia and when your associates are describing to you what they're learning in graduate school, what are they saying?
They're not learning any clinical skills. They're learning social ideology, injustice, social injustice, whatever. Now, I've never heard anybody except for you who's got, like coloring exercises in your class or vision boards of what social injustice needs to be incorporated in your freaking practice, for crying out loud.
They are hell with the arts and crafts, though.
They are.
They can glue some macaroni to some construction paper, then for sure.
But I'm just going to be straight up with that. And I would, and that's what was disturbing to my associates early on in my supervision, that they were being taught this in graduate school, but then it continued post.
In what way?
In two ways. The associations that they were pretty much encouraged to, this association is for you, and you can get in for, not very much money, and we've got really cheap malpractice liability because we care about you. Well, what that means to me is they just want you to buy in to very destructive post ideology. And so when they're finding
post-grad
school, it starts in grad school. So by the time you're post-grad, you're already in the club, the Legacy Association, who is promising you flowers, roses, and you're going to make six figures, and your supervisor is exploiting you and all that. So that's what really.
What are they telling you about what they're being taught on ethics?
Oh, they're not being taught ethics at all. Actually, they are being taught the American Counseling Association blueprint that has no jurisdiction in our state of Texas. So when you get associate who is it's like I have to deprogram the idea that the American Counseling Association Code of Ethics is the standard by which you need to practice. And I'm going, throw that right out the door, because your state is not recognizing that at all.
Wait, hold on a second. This is like, I think, new information to me, because I'm in a like KCREP accredited program. I'm finishing my second internship, and I'm doing the intern for the LPC track. Everything I'm being told is you have to adhere to these LPC, ACA, KCREP. Like, these are like your guiding light. You have to adhere to that, and you're telling me that's wrong.
They're lying to you, Ryan. They've lied to you the entire time.
I believe that.
So by the time you get a supervisor who's ready to really teach you things, you're going to have to, you will be deprogrammed.
The ACA has a code of ethics that they put together. They're a private company that they put together. They want to run the profession. That's a given.
KCREP does too.
That's a given, right? But the ethics that they put together are not the laws, the codes of the state of Texas or any other state. If you end up in a court of law and you, as your defense, you say, well, the ACA said, the judge is going to say, I don't give a flip what ACA says. They're not the law of Texas.
Oh.
Texas has its own code of ethics. It's called the code, and it's in your rule book.
It's called the state statutes. Now, when the Texas Behavioral Health Executive Council, Ryan, was formed, the reason why it was formed is, like I said before, was to clean up the mess from dishes and the rogue boards who just did whatever they felt like doing, right? Nothing was consistent. They did everything incredibly wrong. And BHEC was the arm of, I hate to say this, of the state to have the state statutes comport into our ethics, because that's what you are signing up for. You have signed up that I'm a licensed professional counselor, either associate or licensed professional counselor, and I am abiding by all the state statutes, all the state rules. If you recall, when you sign your supervised experience form or services agreement with your supervisor, you have agreed that you understand all the rules here in Texas. It doesn't say you understand ACA. No, because who governs our license? The state of Texas, who also has to comport with the state statutes as, okay, here we go, as it pertains to health care professionals.
Yeah.
We are in the healthcare profession business.
Your board's job is to issue licenses. BHEC's job, BHEC is an administrative arm. It's an agency. It's a new agency that was created to clean up another agency, dishes. BHEC's job is to make sure that all the laws of Texas, as they are passed and as they exist, are explained properly in your rule book, are listed there, so that you can read the rule book and know what the guidelines are that you're supposed to follow. That's their job.
Can you give me an example of like a discrepancy where BHEC says one thing, ACA says a different thing?
Cultural diversity.
Okay.
There's a whopper.
Gender affirming care.
Ooh.
For minors.
The state of Texas has passed laws in the last two legislatures, 87th and 88th legislatures, outlawing various things associated with the transitioning process for minors and stuff. Well, that's the school districts, but let's just leave it to minors. Now, those laws are codified. They exist. They've already been signed in, and they are in the process of, some of it's happened already, some of it is going to be happening, of updating the rule book so that it reflects those new laws. I don't know that ACA or TCA or anybody else has updated their materials to reflect those laws.
Absolutely not. And actually, that's the rub. And I think that's what the conflict is, Ryan, to be honest with you. We're gonna try really hard to keep you captured into thinking that the ideology is coming from ACA and its sister TCA in the state of Texas. We're going to try really hard to keep you indoctrinated in that idea that, fill in the blank, that Senate Bill 14, let's say, does not apply to mental health professionals, because they're still maintaining, if you read their briefs, they don't believe that mental health professionals are healthcare professionals or providers.
Let's put a frame around it. Senate Bill 14 was passed in the 87th legislature, I believe it was, and it outlaws the medical procedures, and there's a list of medical procedures, and in that list there are no mental health procedures, but it's just medical. Now, the definition
for gender affirming care of minors.
Right. The definition, this law applies to what's the term? Mental health or
healthcare providers.
Thank you, healthcare providers. And so the issue is the people that don't want, the people on the other side are saying that mental health providers are not part of healthcare professionals. They don't qualify in that definition. We're saying that we do fall under that definition because historically we have, and the law in the state of Texas says we do, and your rule book as an LPC and a social worker says that you do. There's a definitions page in your rule book.
LPC book.
And it defines...
Page 89.
It defines healthcare professional. And it's in there because it's in there.
So they're contradicting their own documents just so they can try to create a loophole to get out of accountability.
Accountability from the letter writing for gender affirming care for minors. Because think about it, Ryan. This is the gateway for all the other horrendous procedures to occur with a little one, with a minor. So the first thing that has to happen is the letter has to be written by who? A mental health professional, because the medical doctor is saying, hey, go get this letter written so I can start the procedures. If we're not healthcare professionals, why are the medical doctors asking me to write a letter for a 10-year-old to get the process started? Now, here's the rub, Ryan. Senate Bill 14 is you will not have anything to do with gender affirming care, okay, for minors. That includes the letter writing, because that's the impetus to get it started.
We're contending it includes
the letter
writing.
So I've been told in no uncertain terms by my professors here in grad school that Texas is an authoritarian, fascist, oppressive state.
Of course.
Because they are doing harm to trans kids. What is your position on that in terms of the Texas legislation?
They?
Like
the state?
Texas, like by banning puberty blockers and things like that.
Okay. Well, actually, if they read the state statutes, the Attorney General ruled that child abuse, this is child abuse.
It qualifies
as child abuse.
Based on existing code.
They had to do that first before Senate Bill 14 passed. So you get the definition of, okay, so what is child abuse? Causing harm to a child. Puberty blockers, cutting off body parts with a 15-year-old is child abuse.
Treating a mental issue with physical surgery is child abuse. That's our position.
Are they talking about, yes.
Your professor is entitled to an opinion, even if it's wrong.
But it won't hold up in a state in a court.
It won't hold up.
If your professor writes that letter for a 15-year-old. Now, here's the thing. Because Senate Bill 14 has already defined child abuse, and this is part of it, and that's why Senate Bill 14 passed. If a mental health professional is continuing, which we know they're doing, writing these letters for minors, the parent has the letter, and they can go out of state to begin the process. You have to think about that.
So, Ryan, if I help you plan a murder and you and I are in Texas, and then you run over to Arkansas and you commit that murder, am I culpable in any manner at all? I think so.
So I think a lot of my professors enjoy having a bit of a persecution complex, and they're telling me that basically the state of Texas is like out to get them. So what could potentially trigger some kind of legal consequences? Because the way they frame it in class is, if a distressed transgender kid comes to me and I give them therapy, if the state of Texas finds out, they're going to bust down my door, take away my license, and throw me in jail. So like, what is the reality of this legislation?
You can have talk therapy for somebody who's confused about their sex, or their what's going on in their head. You could still have therapy for them. You just can't be the getaway car to start the puberty blockers and the irreversible puberty blockers and all that kind of stuff. They're irreversible, Ryan.
Right now, we're in a gray area. So if people write letters, there's no clear-cut decision about whether you can prosecute that or not. So we're in a gray area right now. Now, as to your question about the state of Virginia, for example, up until recently, if somebody walked into your office, you're a counselor in Virginia, and you walked in there and said, I'm pick your religion. I'm Jewish. I'm a Christian. I'm whatever. And I'm having same-sex attraction feelings, and I don't want that. Can you help me with that? The state of Virginia says, or has said, you cannot have that conversation with that client who has just requested that conversation, Ryan. You can't do it. Well, that was overturned here earlier this summer. Okay. No such problem exists in Texas. If somebody walks into your office and wants to have that conversation, you can do so. There's no law that says you can't.
You
have
get
that
to.
conversation.
You get to.
And right now, if you wanted to write that letter, you could. But back in May, June of this year, Representative Steve Toth asked BHEC to submit an opinion or a request for opinion to the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton's office, asking him to clarify whether or not mental health counselors fall under the different.
BHEC did, not
Yes.
Steve Toth.
Yes, Steve Toth requested of BHEC
Yes.
that BHEC submit a request, okay, that it come from the agency itself. So
And BHEC did that.
and they did that. And so the decision for that comes down probably end of December. It might be sooner, but they have until December 29th, I think it is, to render an opinion. In the meantime, when a request for opinion is rendered, as it has been, the public has the opportunity to submit a brief in support of or against, in support of your position, whichever side you fall on, and that was done. There was a deadline of August 7th, I think it was, for submission. So we and 3 or 4 others that we know of and that support our opinion, our position on this, submitted those briefs. And there's 2 or 3 on the other side that are
Also did.
yeah, that did also, that think that you all should not fall under that definition that you've traditionally fallen under and that your rule book says you're a part of.
And there are legal cases and cases upon cases that have ruled that mental health providers are in fact healthcare providers.
Yeah.
There's no question about that,
There's established precedent that's way older than you are.
which is what we filed in our brief to the Attorney General here in Texas. Nobody else did,
so
but
we'll
we
find
did.
out.
We'll find out.
And when it comes down that you do fall under that definition, there's going to be a whole lot of screaming and howling going on.
And this is the problem, because grad students are so wanting to do the right thing, right? And they trust that their professors know what they're talking about, right? So I'm going to tell you, it's not your fault. It's not your fault for believing whatever it is that you've been taught, because you want to do well.
What is your fault is if you fail to exercise some critical thought processes and analyze what you're being told, then shame on all of us for not doing that.
Right. And that's one of the impetus, I think, for the Association for Mental Health Professionals to have that dialogue and not do the buy-in anymore, because it's hurting a lot of people. And I will say it's hurting a lot of professionals.
Let's get into the Association for Mental Health Professionals, because that's a pretty cool organization y'all have, and we have your conference coming up, which we'll talk about in a minute. But just the creation of that organization and what you were seeing that led you to believe there was a need for this organization.
Yeah, the need stemmed from the fact that we realized one day, light bulb moment, we're not going to be able to change the existing associations. We're not going to be able to do that. And we got sick and tired of being sick and tired, so we thought, well, why don't we just start our own?
Why not?
And part of that, and not the whole thing, but a part of it was the CE requirements were being revamped at the time. And it was quite obvious that some of these legacy associations had their hand in it big time. That's a whole nother discussion, but that's like the last straw. So we fired up a group, and here we are. And the purpose for the group is twofold. I guess what really drove the creation is what I just mentioned, the fact that we don't agree with the ideology that's pervading everything, including the board. It's better now, but has pervaded the board. But the other reason is because we wanted a place where counselors that are running their practice with something other than a neck up, talk to them, then give them another pill if that doesn't work approach. On a more holistic mind, body, spirit approach to mental health. So that's our focus. Frankly, whether it takes 5, 10, 20 years to get through all this mess, and the need for fighting for an ideology is not what it is today, this group will have to have a reason to exist. And that reason, quite naturally, is for the holistic counselor to have a place to go and talk about things.
Yeah, and we recognize, too, that we have never been in a free medical market. Mm-hmm. All right? So our venue provides the other side. And if you want to join in, that's great. If you want to learn, that's great, too. But there's another side of care, and it's on the holistic side, because we also recognize that we've never had a free medical market.
So, when I look at the landscape, I look at the Association for Mental Health Professionals, Critical Therapy Antidote, the Open Therapy Institute, SOAD, Tabrizi's Conservative Counselors, like this kind of crew of organizations, versus on the other side, the American Counseling Association, the American Psychological Association, National Association of Social Work, and it feels like an ant versus an elephant. What can you tell me about that power disparity and that kind of David versus Goliath feel that this has?
You're absolutely correct in your assessment. It's probably 80%. I used to say 40 or 50, but I really think it's far more than that. Probably 80% of licensed counselors now don't think what we think. The 20 or 30% are feeling awful lonely. We have a mess on our hands. We have a whole cadre of licensed mental professionals that are running a practice based on an ideology, not based on science. And they'll argue that, oh no, I do CBT. Well, okay, that's a wonderful thing, but it's coated in a layer of Marxist socialism, and I know you know all about that. So, what else?
Well, it gives the 20%, let's say, of us to find other ways. Now, I'm going to give you an example, Ryan, of that. The allopathic medical community is also the same way. There's a very few medical doctors that have gotten out of the matrix, and they need people to help them do what they've signed up, that they thought they signed up to do, and that is to treat the whole person. So if you see the likes of Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, Dr. Larry Palevsky, Dr. Christiane Northrup, Dr. Carrie Madej, Dr. Jeff Barkey, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. They are pushing, and they are the
lone voices in the wilderness.
But it has mushroomed into, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Tons of followers.
Could you tell me what allopathic medicine is?
Give them a pill and do the big pharma approach.
Symptom
management. There's no cure. Just live with your disease. Move right along. It's the prescription of what I give for you, I'm going to give to him, and so forth and so on.
Patience for life.
Patience for life mindset. They don't treat the whole body. They just treat and mask the symptom. Reductionism. That's it. End of
So
story.
I can speak to that personally a little bit. Starting in 2014, I was diagnosed with a debilitating case of bipolar disorder. It was pretty horrific for a long time, and got countless numbers of pills to try to treat things. And it really wasn't until I started taking sleep, diet, and exercise seriously that I started getting better.
Right. Amazing, right? And this is the greatest, easiest secret of them all, because that doesn't make anybody rich at all. You take your health into your own hands. There are so many good things to be done that you are never going to be a customer for life. Bravo.
Yep.
But again, okay, David and Goliath, I don't care.
Who won that fight?
Who won that fight?
So that reminds me of a funny story. High school basketball, we were playing a team that was considered to be much better than us. And my coach in the locker room trying to pep us up, he goes, this is like a David and Goliath fight, but remember, David won that fight. And we lost by 40 points that night, but it was an inspiring speech.
You don't remember the score, but you remember the speech, huh?
Yeah.
There are little pockets, more than you realize, Ryan, and I really mean this, of things are happening. And there's a trajectory here that cannot be denied any longer. There is a force to be reckoned with. And I'm not going to go into anything other than trust the process. We are winning. People are really starting to come out of, I call it the matrix. We've been lied to on every single level. Every single level. And if you don't understand that, I can't help you. I can't help you. What we're here to do is to help those who have come out of that and needing a place to land, community, resources,
a tribe,
and that is all good. If they can have their tribe, why can't I have my tribe?
We can tell things have changed. We can just tell things have changed over time. There are more and more counselors. As all you need is one person to stick their head up out of the hole and say something, and two more are emboldened to do so. And then now you've got 3, and then 6 more. And so people are speaking up. We have members that are who've never done anything like talk to their board before, who are going in front of the board and making comments now, public comments to their boards. And
it's pretty incredible, Ryan.
So there's a lot happening.
There's a lot of goodness happening here.
I love this analogy of the Matrix, and I think that's similar to how I used to be a very, very radical lefty. I think I like to say Bernie Sanders was as far to the right as I was willing to go, but I was very much involved in pro-transgender, pro-Black Lives Matter, all that kind of stuff. And it really was 2020 that kind of started making me think, like, am I on the right side of these issues,
Mm-hmm.
And getting into grad school, I'm starting to have these thoughts, like something seems very off here. But I would, with a lot of this stuff, I would never say that out loud in class. Like, is whiteness really problematic? Like, are cross-sex hormones the key to mental illness for children? Like, I don't know if some of this stuff is just not adding up.
Yeah.
But you have so many people who feel like, I can't say anything. I feel alone. I feel isolated. And then we start to connect with people and organizations like you, and you realize, oh, I'm not alone.
Mm-hmm.
You're not.
Well, the issue you had and that you ran into was you're too damn smart to be a Marxist, and you finally figured it out. It's like when an atheist says, "I don't believe in God." You don't have enough faith to be an atheist. No, you're too smart for that.
Well,
thank you.
Ryan, you embraced your mind to ask yourself questions. And it's not so much that you were on the wrong side. And I'm going to keep honing in on this for you, Ryan. We've been lied to. I've been lied to. You've been lied to. And of course, we're going to believe whatever has been fed for years and days and hours and the whole 9 yards. You are left with thinking that is a real thing. But you've utilized your questioning. And I don't want any mental health professional to give that up. Once you give that up, it's game over.
The fight's going to be a long one to recover and reclaim the profession, but it took forever to get here.
And we have a while.
Yeah, it's been a lifetime getting to where we are, and it's going to take a while to get out of it. But you start where you are, one stone at a time.
It's no different, Ryan, that in AA, sponsors usually tell the person who's just now coming to terms with recovery, the question is always, well, how long have you been having this addiction? And let's say the recovering person says, I've been doing this for 15 years. And the sponsor will always go back and say, it's going to take you at least 15 years to come out of it. Let time be your friend. And so, we're a quick fix kind of people because we've been trained to do that. That's the complacency. Oh, just, and then move on. But, you're either going to be complacent with what's happening or you're not. And I certainly think that we've seen enough now. This is go time.
Go time's going to take a while. It's going to be ugly, and it won't be easy, but we have to do it. We have to do it.
Go ahead,
I 8.5 years sober, and I worked at 12 steps, and it's been had a huge impact on my life. And I would say in some indirect way, it's had an effect on my ideology. Because I think a big part of the 12 steps is you take responsibility for your own life. You don't blame it on other people.
Right. Correct. And that's not what we're being allowed to believe, right?
Yeah.
We're a victim of everything. And then if you're white, forget it. Go move to somewhere. But that's just me. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And, I've lost everything. I mean, okay, so, been there, done that. Nothing is going to keep me from speaking up on what I think needs to happen in an appropriate, with respect and love kind of way. It's okay to open up your mouth and speak your mind. I mean, clearly the other side has no problem with it. So why am I being quiet?
I don't know if we want to get into this, but Charlie Kirk was assassinated yesterday, and that was a guy who I don't think he ever made bad faith arguments. I don't think he was ever derogatory or demeaning or name calling, anything like that. And kind of that was the response to him. And I've seen a lot of people, including therapists, who say essentially because he was a conservative, he does not deserve any sympathy.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's an evil mind. That's a sick mind, and that's all there is to it. There's no way to argue around or through that. That's a sick mind that'll say something like that.
Well, and that what you're seeing, Ryan, is what we've been talking about. You're hearing the ideology. You're hearing the brainwash. You're hearing the MK Ultra, and I'll harp on that if you want. But this is a deep type of brainwashing that our profession, and I'm really sick that this has been allowed to happen. But this is what you're seeing. You're seeing the brainwashing mantra of licensed professional mental health professionals who are in the healthcare profession who are saying just what you said, Ryan, about Charlie Kirk.
Well, this is happening in multiple industries. It's not
Yes.
just the mental health profession.
No.
So, each industry thinks it's just them, but it's not.
It's not.
And I was thinking about this last night. If you want to go here, if you have time, laying awake in the middle of the night thinking about it. Okay, so what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen? Not only is it the post Charlie Kirk assassination fallout, what's going to happen with that? It's September 11th, and what would have happened anyway? Who knows? So today's keep your head on a swivel and keep your head down day. But I was thinking about what has to happen next, and I came up with 5 points. Would you like to hear them?
Yeah.
All right. The first thing we have to do as a nation, we have to recognize that we're no longer one nation under God, discussing through civil discourse the best way to arrive at a common objective. It used to be, that's how we grew up thinking. We're one big nation, and we can talk about, we all wanted the same thing, and we argue and fuss between each other how we're going to get there. It's He says tomato, I say tomato, but we're all talking about round and red, right? Well, we're talking tomatoes and they're talking something else. All right. So we're no longer one nation under God. We are two distinctly diametrically opposed groups of people occupying the same geography. One group is a group of God-fearing, predominantly Christians who support the Constitution and a democratic republic form of government, who want to live an American dream based on freedom and godly values. The other group is a largely untethered, godless group of people utilizing Marxism and radical Islam as tools to destroy what the first group believes in. And they do not want the same things we do. The second thing is that we must acknowledge that we are at war with an invading force of combatants, both foreign and domestic, regardless of their citizenship status. It is a war of opposing and terminally incompatible ideologies, and real people are dying violent deaths when the invading force can't win a simple debate. Number three, we must quickly get very comfortable changing the rules of engagement. There are rules for civilian society in order to hammer out our differences, but when either side refuses to abide those rules, we must move as a nation. I'm not advocating individual vigilante violence here, but as a nation, we must move to military rules of engagement to protect ourselves. And this is probably why the mantra for the last umpteen years has been the military is the only way. Number four, we must remove the invaders and their toxic ideas from our systems, a systemic cleansing. This will take time, and there will be resistance, and there will be violence. If they can't get their way, we've already seen a number of times in just the last couple of years that is the case. And then number five, for future generations, we must codify the means and methods to protect our nation from toxic beliefs, which have proven over a long history to be detrimental to a free and civil society, and to date has cost over 130 million lives in the 20th century alone. It's incompatible with our American beliefs, and that's my list of 5 things that have to happen.
You know what comes to my mind? I'm not sure if y'all have heard the term Is it Chesterton's fence? I think it's Chesterton's fence. It's a term from philosophy where this, I can't remember who it was. I guess Chesterton, whoever that is, said if you come across a fence, before you tear it down, you should find out why that fence is there. Because there may be a wild bull or something like that on the other side of it that the fence is preventing from getting out. And I think a lot of people, without really understanding history and the reasons for certain things, you say the Constitution or Christianity or a certain set of social norms. I don't understand why these are here. These kind of seem oppressive. They seem like they're holding back. They're holding me back. I don't know why they're here. Let's just tear them down and basically figure this out where we're going, where, a lot of these norms and social ideals and values took centuries and centuries, sometimes millennia to develop. And they developed for a reason to solve these very common social problems. And you remove this fence that you didn't know what it was there for, and you find out only after the fact what it was holding back.
Which fences do you see?
I mean, some obvious ones. Christianity. Christianity is oppressive and outdated. Why are you telling me what type of moral standards to hold myself to? Like you're being judgmental, this kind of thing. And then you kind of realize, speaking as a Christian, the Christian moral code is actually a form of liberation if you actually understand it. It's liberating you from the desires of the flesh that are leading me into a form of enslavement. So that's like a very obvious one. You look at the Constitution, a bunch of old dead white guys made that. Okay, yeah, but what is it? What is its function? What type of government does it give us? What does it do?
Why did they create it that way? What were the reasons for the way they shaped it?
Yeah.
What were they trying to prevent? It's like reading the warning label on your lawnmower. The warning is there for a reason. Some dumbass put his foot underneath the mower and thought that would be a good idea. So now the legal department says you got to put a sticker on the lawnmower that says don't stick your foot underneath here. There's a reason for everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't put your foot underneath the mower, Ryan.
I will do my best.
Okay.
I live in an
I'll let
apartment now, so I don't have to worry about that. But
There we go.
Excellent.
There we go.
I want to get back to something we had kind of touched on earlier, in like these rabid, foaming at the mouth, hornets' nests of Facebook groups, therapist Facebook groups. What can you tell me about that?
I can tell you, Soad Tabrizi is going to be the moderator at one of our table topics at the conference
I
about
am
just
so
that subject.
Soad is a firecracker. I cannot wait to hear her. I'm talking to
Yeah,
her
it's
later
gonna-
today too.
Well, I think, Ryan, this is an example of what the academia, I'm going to put it at their feet, and legacy associations, they have allowed and created a plethora of vile individuals that have no compassion for debate. Agreeing to disagree, that's not in their portfolio. Again, I think you're seeing a very good example of brainwashing because they don't have thoughts of their own. They have been allowed to parrot what they've been told to parrot. There's no substance there, and it's vile. It's out of control, and
Any group,
we must move from that.
any group of people who untethers themselves from the same source of morals that you and I follow, that group gets to create their own set of laws and morals and operate by.
And they are.
And it usually goes downhill fairly rapidly.
Yes.
And that's where we are. We're living in the middle of it.
I think you're seeing an increase of whatever that is, despicableness, because I do think at the end of the day, they know they are losing, and they're losing hard.
And the more they lose, the
The
louder,
louder they get.
the louder they're going to get,
So let that help you
to the point of pulling the
detach
triggers.
from even recognizing and spending your God-given time on this earth to be consumed over. Be consumed with doing good things to people who are in peril. You can't save everybody. And so let that help you.
So tell me how we got to this. If you dust off an old history book of therapy, you'll find terms like therapeutic neutrality, where the therapist is supposed to be like a neutral, not putting their thumb on the scale to push the client one way or the other, but just help the client figure out their problems and come to a place of balance and health and sanity and these type of things. It seems like we've decided the therapist's job is to put a pretty heavy thumb on the scale. First of all, you can't be a conservative if you're a therapist, and second of all, if your client is a conservative, it would be in your best interest and the best interest of society really to try to nudge that client away from these backwards, outdated beliefs. Right? How did we get away from therapeutic neutrality?
Well, it's academia driven, and the history of what was allowed to happen basically in the 60s to current.
How you get away from it is you clean up the system.
Yes.
You clean up the system and start spitting out competent counselors. We don't have a workforce shortage. We have a competency shortage. But you got to clean up the system is the answer to the question. That begs the next question, which is, what do you do with the existing crop of licensees that are just rabid followers of this way of thinking?
Let them.
That's a good thing. Let the market take care of it's what you
Let
do.
the market take care of that. And I think, Ryan, it's my belief that we have been compromised so much to the point that the public doesn't trust us anymore. Look at what's happening with the gender affirming care for minors and the detransitioners and the parents that are horrified. They're not going to come in and see me. They're not going to come in and see you because we've been all lumped into the same pool. So our solution to that is, SOAD's group, the Conservative Counselors Directory. Our solution to that is beef up that website of yours, please. You have a First Amendment. Let the person know who you are and why you do what you do.
And what your beliefs are.
And what your beliefs are. There's nothing wrong with that because you can do that.
On your individual counselor website.
Correct.
Do you get people at your front window out here that tell you anything about how happy they are they found you? Somebody that didn't want to, I don't want to put words in your mouth. What do people say at your front window?
I'm so glad you are here and I found you because, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's very complimentary, but it's because of the way that we've structured our website. They know what they get. They know what we are. We're very transparent. And people need to be connected to those who share the same common values. It's not, I'm talking to in an echo chamber. It's like, I need to see another believer. I need to see a counselor who is a Christian because our common denominator is our beliefs. So I can figure out what's going on and we can have a better conversation and we can go deep.
What do we do about the 80% of the counselors who are indoctrinated and practicing based on an ideology? You let the market take care of it.
Let the market take care of it.
This is kind of an interesting question that I like to toss around with people. Of those 80, I would say 80+% of therapists who are, kind of hard left leaning, what percentage are like your true believers where like they believe this to their core, they would, kill and die for this, versus people who kind of, there's a lot of people I feel like who aren't necessarily that into it, but they put their pronouns and their email sign off because that's just kind of what we do here. What percentage of these people are the true believers of this woke faith, and how many are, you think if the tide shifts in a different direction, they would shift with it?
Yeah. Out of the 80%, the good old 80-20 rule probably applies. Probably 20 to 30% of those who
Of the 80.
have pronouns, of the 80 who have their pronouns, let's just pick on that as an identifier, listed on their website or their card, are just go along to get along and would be just elated not to have to play that game anymore. Another 20, 30% of them are going to end up out of the industry altogether. And the remaining 60, the remaining 50% will try their best until they're also run out of the industry. You can't save them all. We're not going to.
I think people do a lot of things, Ryan, out of fear. So that's what you might be seeing, because they haven't been able to formulate, or they don't give themselves to formulate their own thoughts and feelings about this and how to get out of the matrix, because they're staying in a world of fear and almost harassment. And that's very sad to me. How can you be a good clinician if your values aren't shared in your workspace? I'm not saying everything. I'm just saying common denominator. Do you want to have your pronouns or do you not? There's no choice here. You work here, you have to have your pronouns. Now, I will say that I don't really think people really realize what they're doing to themselves by identifying their pronouns. And so when somebody goes to the website that everybody has their pronouns, that's why people don't trust us. What the heck does that mean? I just want to talk to somebody.
If the counselor's confused, how am I going to?
I mean, seriously, it is. I think that's another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, there's just like these subtle or not so subtle indicators. Like if I were looking at a page of therapists and I saw a they, them, I would assume like, what's the point? Like they're probably dealing with more mental illness than I am.
Well, then here's another example too, Ryan.
It's a fair assumption.
Another example is I provide a safe space, and then they have their identifiers. I'm LBGTQA minus 12,
2S.
Of blah, blah. Okay, so I'm a parent. I see that, and I'm like, nope, not doing it. I don't think counselors really realize what they're telling the public. They don't realize it. So you're for sexual pedophilia, you're into furries and stuff like that. Like you're affirming.
It's like posting videos of your spring break and thinking it's not going to be detrimental to your job application next year.
And I'm scratching my head. It's like, why are you doing that? And then they have all the little buzzwords. I provide a safe space for, and I'm like going, okay, they're going to affirm whatever walks in the door. Great. I'm not going to a therapist.
Who's going to let me self-diagnose?
There's not a workforce. There's a workforce shortage because of that. Not because there's not enough counselors. It's the ideology is killing our profession, and that means all of us, not just some.
So I got 2 questions left for you if y'all got time.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one, this should be an easy softball for you. How do we fix the
Don't be
therapy
looking at me.
profession?
How do we fix what? I'm sorry.
How do we fix the therapy profession?
We don't.
Ooh, okay.
And the reason why I say that is because it's bigger than you. The only thing that you can do is do you. In truth and light, with respect and love, and niche up your profession and be the classy person and the professional that you've always been. Forget it. We can't fix it. It is broken. It is done.
The 5 steps that I just rattled off earlier, those are big picture steps, and the counseling profession is within it. And one of those steps, we have to clean up the process. How do we fix 85,000 counselors in the state of Texas when 80% of them are captured? Well, you don't. 20 or 30% of them are salvageable. The rest of them are they're going to end up doing something else because the market is going to dictate it. If nobody walks through their front door, they can't pay rent. They're going to end up putting job applications in at Walmart somewhere. All right. So how do we fix this right now? We can only save some of it, but you can't fix somebody that doesn't want to be fixed.
Let them be in the matrix.
Going
Right.
forward is where we have more power. We gotta clean out the systems. We gotta come to our own realization that we're not dealing with a like-minded group of people. We're dealing with an enemy combatant. It's that bad. We got foreign people invading this country. We've got citizens that follow an ideology that tells them that their moral code is so far superior to what you and I think that our laws, the laws of the land, don't apply to them, and that murder is acceptable. That's not your average debate. That's a war.
Yeah.
And occasionally bullets fly,
Yes.
don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we clean up the system. We got to adjust our mental approach to this whole project, this problem, and then clean up the system, and then make sure that we put things into place. I've thought for most of my life, why don't we just outlaw communism? Well, you've got laws that say free speech and so we're so open-minded our brains fall out, and we let anybody and anything and any way of thinking in, including radical Islam. And that is, it's just Marxism and Islam are not compatible with our Western way of thinking. I think I heard a smart guy on a podcast said something about Christianity is where the Western world came from. It was either you or Charlie Kirk. I can't remember which one it was, but that's exactly right. That set of values is what's responsible for Western civilization. We can't afford to let people who are stuck in the 6th century invade our continent and take over. And we are allowing that to happen. The rules of engagement have to change.
So I lied. I actually have 2 more questions after that one.
Okay.
First one was like, I thought it was going to be a big focus, and we ended up going down a lot of really interesting trails. But the conference that you guys have coming up, I want you to tell me about that. And I want to say I'm so excited about this conference. I'm so excited about going there and meeting some people in real life. My friend Stephanie Wynn has scolded me for saying that I get to meet celebrities at the conference. But when I think of people like Pamela Garfield Yeager and Soad Tabrizi and Rebecca Smith, these are some of my heroes. I'm excited to meet them in person. What can you tell me about this conference coming up?
Our conference is designed for the holistic counselor, and a holistic counselor needs, and it's not limited to that. If you're not a holistic counselor or you're a potential support industry, you're welcome. Anybody is welcome to the conference. Just don't start a fight. But it's aimed primarily at a holistic counselor. Holistic counselors need more than just a psychiatrist to prescribe another pill. They need a naturopath. They need a homeopath. They need a chiropractor that has expanded his range of offerings beyond just cracking bones. Need a functional nurse, perhaps, to help them with blood panels, figuring out what we need, getting them, and reading them or interpreting them for you so that you can do a better, more holistic job with your counselors. We have those exhibitors in the room. Your potential support staff is in the room. We have 6 speakers coming up. Care to opine?
Opine. Tier 1 speakers that will never be in the same room at the same time. We are super excited. These are Tier 1 speakers that are nationally and internationally known. God has been very good to us in securing their willingness to talk to mental health professionals. Here's the thing.
What we're trying to do is connect the dots between the medical profession and how it relates to the
mental health profession, because these doctors who have been through it, I'm telling you, been through it because of the COVID nightmare, want to talk to you, the mental health professional, because we need to talk. We need each other. We need to talk. We are the last man standing in terms of helping our clients. Okay.
We've got Dr. Peter Glidden. He's a naturopath. Dr. Mark McDonald.
He's a psychiatrist who's going to be talking about exactly what you're focusing in on, Ryan. Mass delusional psychosis. We are seeing that today, and we saw it yesterday, and we're going to continue to see it. We have Dr. Jeff Wolfman, who is also a doctor who's going to talk about parasitism on a spiritual level, which also is what we're seeing as well. We're going to have the one and only, and I mean that, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. If you don't know her story, get on board before you see her. And then we're going to have the rebel, the medical rebel, the one and only Dr. Lee Merritt. And we're going to have Brian Artist, who will just blow your mind with the correlation between the COVID vaccines and mental illness that we're seeing right now.
We've done podcast interviews with all 6 of these people during the course of this year, so they're all available on our Spotify account, which is free, of course. And if you're a member, you can listen to the same recording on our website for CE credit. Why would you not want that?
And then we're going to have then we're going to have the table topics, 2 days, having a wonderful, full powerhouse of table topic presenters. And you can just go to the website and see what we're going to be talking about. The holistic intake process, professional competency, bringing back real men, legislative discussion, regaining public trust. That's a big one for me. Frequency as a therapy, build how to build your holistic team, your gut and your mental health, and then finding your niche. I mean, it's full of stuff. This conference cannot be replicated by any legacy profession. We are so thrilled to be and blessed to have this thing all come together. So if you're on the fence,
You want to tell them about Thursday night? Tell them about that.
Thursday night is going to be an evening with your friends, and it is after day 1. You're going to go to your room, get refreshed, come back. We're going to sit down dinner with dinner music. We're going to have an award ceremony. And then our evening agenda after that is going to be watching Simone Gold's What is a Doctor? And then we're going to have a Q&A panel, and we're going to have a detransitioner there, and some other people that we are not at liberty to talk about right now. And then we're going to do a Q&A. It is going to be rich, y'all. Totally rich.
Fire hose of information, actually. It's just,
I'm excited. I can't wait.
I'm already looking forward to reading the feedback forms. I'm going to get 2 or 3 or 4 comments from people going, I didn't have enough free time. Well, last year they wanted, we're giving them what they want. So there's not a lot of downtime. There's bathroom time, but there's no go explore the city time.
And too, Ryan, if you are, last year was a wake-up call for me personally. I was not prepared for what our feedback forms were and how everything went. And here's the deal. We are in a time of division, okay? Professionals who have not had a voice and been ostracized and canceled and all that kind of stuff, this conference might be for you, because last year what happened was I wasn't anticipating it. None of our attendees wanted to go home. None of them. They were sad. This conference this year is going to be a reunion, a celebration of coming together and meeting like-minded professionals who really care about our counseling profession. Where the heck is it going? And hanging out with people that are your circle of safety peeps, period. It is a beautiful thing. It's one big love thing.
I've already got the extra room at my house ready, Ryan, because you're not going to want to go home. This is going to be good.
It's really going to be good. And our goal, I know Phillip has been working really hard, and but our goal is to really serve you.
What else you got?
Well, I wanted to say, I think we were talking on a Facebook chat about coordinating Thursday night, either Wednesday night or Thursday night, because a bunch of us got SOAD's Make Therapy Sane Again shirts, and we're going to all wear them at the same time.
Oh man, that'll make me cry. And two, I think that our tier one speakers, our 6 speakers, they have no idea what we're going through. I mean, they do, but they're battling the allopathics. They're battling big pharma. They're battling the medical community who has been captured. So if we can bridge these two, and that's our fundamental goal here at Association for Mental Health Professionals, we need to get together with them too.
Yeah, the silos between the professions, those are fences that need to come down.
Right. You were talking about fences earlier, Ryan.
Yeah.
These
See
are
how
the
I was
fences.
trying to tie the analogy thing?
I like it.
How that worked? Okay.
I like it. So this is my final question. I promise. This time I promise it really is the last one. So when you look at society more broadly, what is one issue that we're not talking about enough that we should be talking about more?
I have my answer. But
I know
go
what
ahead.
I'm going to answer. I'm just going to be bold. Can I be bold?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just be polite and play fair. Or not.
The big lie. Big pharma is not your friend. It never was, and it never will be. They're out to hurt you and kill you.
We're not one nation under God anymore. We are 2 separate, easily identifiable factions wanting different things, and they're never going to mesh. And that the social Marxism and the Islam issue are the tools being used to destroy us. That is starting to come out in recent history. In this year, it's starting to come out and be talked about more, but it's still not on the table. I don't think the country really gets it yet, how divided it is, and that we're really looking at what amounts to a civil war. Mm-hmm. We really are.
And don't underestimate the power of what happened yesterday, Ryan. I think this is the impetus for that. And there's many people who are suggesting the same. So our profession has been compromised, but the people who are truly out of the matrix, we need to be ready to handle those people who are really hurting and need to talk to somebody sane.
Let me be very clear. I am not advocating somebody pick up a rifle or a gun and go do something about it.
No.
What I'm saying is that a civil war is a unavoidable, unfixable disagreement between 2 bodies of people, 2 groups of people that cannot be rectified. If there's going to be shooting in the streets, it's going to be our military that does that, with us backing them up, not us starting that sort of thing. I mean, I hope none of that happens, but we're hurtling down that road. So say your prayers.
Yeah.
I am glad neither of you decided to say anything controversial.
Wow. You're probably going to have a really hard time editing this.
Well,
You just have the pink, going on. And also, Ryan, I wanted to let you can't see it, but I'm wearing pink earrings.
Oh, I love it.
I don't have a pink jacket, but it's like,
Yeah.
I need to do the pink thing somehow.
there was no store open at 11 o'clock
No, there
last
was
night
not.
to go So
Well,
worked-
yeah.
did the
what are
best
you
she
gonna
could.
do?
Well, in response to your statement, we're just getting too damn old to care much anymore. You know, at some point you quit giving a damn what somebody else thinks.
Yeah, I get that.
Enough is enough.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy that dies and leaves a crappy world to his kids and grandkids.
Right.
Do
Leave the
whatever we
world a
can.
better place. And, that's all we can do. But, I'm going to give everybody an invitation. Please come to our conference. You will be so blessed.
Like-minded people. It makes a huge
Like-minded
difference.
people. And if you need a big hug, so Ed Tabrizi and Ryan Rogers are going to be right there.
We got a whole mess of huggers coming.
Yep. A whole
Oh,
mess.
good.
Be a hug
Yeah,
fest.
it's going to be a hug fest.
Just remember, you cannot save the world. You can't do it. You only have to do your little part.
Yeah.
I
If
like
everybody does their little part, remember when you were growing up and you had that thought, if everybody was just nice to somebody else today, the whole world's doing that. Wow. What a deal.
And I'll just end with this, Ryan. I want you to be a warrior, not a worrier.
Do something. Say
like
something.
that. Well, Phillip Crum, Kathleen Mills of the Association for Mental Health Professionals, loved having you guys on. I can't wait to meet you in person at the conference.
Thank you.
Can't
Thank
wait
you.
to see that pink.
You'll be easy to spot.
Y'all hang out for just 1 second until the upload finishes.